Hello, I'm Chris Amundsen, Communications Manager for Education Sector, and I'm here with Senior Policy Analyst Rob Manwaring. Rob, the administration recently released its blueprint for the reauthorization of ESEA, and one of the elements of that blueprint is a dramatically different approach to accountability for America's public schools. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that new approach to accountability.
So there's some really great things in this new accountability package and a whole lot of details that are missing. So as far as the great things in it, first of all, it starts off talking about higher standards. Many states with the current accountability system were encouraged to dumb down their standards because that was a bar that all kids could get over. So we've now switched that from focusing on a really minimum level of expectations for kids to a higher bar. So that's a good thing. Second component of what this new package would do is it would focus not just on the status of a student's achievement, but also on the growth. And so that's another key component. And then third, there's a whole bunch of other components that may be good, it's just hard to tell. They talk about building capacity. They talk about some additional measures that you'd want to have about the school climate, some sort of quality reviews and things like that, that all could be good components. But there's a whole lot missing. And specifically, they're talking about a system that will be in place several years from now. So to get these standards up and running and all these things done may take as many as 5, 6, 7 years. So in other words, an entire reauthorization period to get the new standards in place, the new assessments in place, the growth measures that we want to talk about that would compose of this new system. So really there's going to be a whole bunch of issues around transition. Also, in the current regime, they're really focusing on, states basically had a choice. They could either set a really high bar, and some states stayed with the high bar, and those states are identifying a huge portion of their schools as failing. Or they set such an extremely low bar that virtually no schools were identified. And so the impact that NCOB has had on states is very dramatically. Hopefully this will lead to a more unified standard so that all states are going after at least a portion of their schools that really need dramatic improvement and incentivizing that. But in the interim, it seems like the administration has taken the approach of really going after 5% of schools in every state. Now that's obviously going to mean a different thing in a high achieving state like Massachusetts versus a lower achieving state like, say, California. So California's 5% won't be getting to as many of the problem schools as the 5% in Massachusetts will. So that may be problematic. There's specific models that these lower performing schools have to adhere to, and the money that goes along with that that's really closely aligned with the school improvement grants that are already out there. So it's really building on the work that's already in place, and that's a good thing. But as far as providing additional room and thinking about the timing of it, I hope it works better than the SIG grants that are currently under discussion, which are really on such an accelerated time frame, it's going to be hard for them to be successful. So in summary, I'd say there's a huge opportunity for success and moving forward. The real thing that people are going to have to work on in the near term is figuring out that transition policy that gets us between now and when this new system is in place with new standards and new assessments and new growth measures, because that 6-year period is effectively the whole authorization. So while we can set up that framework that we want to move towards, figuring out what we do in the interim will be the difficult struggle.
Thanks, Rob. For more information as this story continues, be sure to check back on our website, www.educationsector.org. Thanks for watching.